That fateful Thanksgiving day, my sister hurled a dish at me for not letting her and her triplets move into my home. "You're incredibly self-centered," she screamed, and my own mom declared. "You're not my child anymore." I simply smiled, calmly rose, and then dialed my attorney. "It's all just as you foretold. Initiate the plan." Barely 20 minutes later. What if the people you love most, the very ones who swore to protect you, were secretly plotting to steal your home and your identity? For me, that nightmare unfolded at Thanksgiving dinner, and the betrayal cut deeper than any knife. The phones in the living room were dinging like crazy, but no one dared touch them. Not yet. If you asked my family, I changed the day I bought my house. If you asked my bank app, I changed the moment I stopped being a walking overdraft fee. For as long as I could remember, I'd been paying for things that weren't mine. Senior year, my graduation fee bounced because mom accidentally used my account for a cable bill. Right after college, sharing a tiny one-bedroom, I was still sending Carla, my sister, $200 a month because, well, diapers. Then the triplets arrived. I took extra night shifts just to cover her hospital parking passes. Back then, I didn't even mind. She was terrified, and I was proud to help. But help slowly became default. Default morphed into duty. And duty eventually became debt. My phone, it's practically a digital archive of all those little messages, each one telling a piece of the story. D. Can you spot me $60 for formula? Derek, we desperately need $300 for a new stroller. The old one is awful for their hips. Or my personal favorite. Hey, can you switch the utilities into your name for a week? My credit is kinda weird right now. My credit was fine, actually, until it wasn't. Carla and her boys lived with me not once, but twice. The first time, 3 months. The second, 5. It cost me a whole security deposit on a place that was supposedly kid-friendly, but turned out to be more like kid-allergic. I'm talking holes patched with toothpaste, crayons on every single wall. I'd be up past midnight, painting over bright, primary-colored rainbows because our landlord, who apparently thought surprise inspections were a fun game show, would pop in unannounced. The second time they finally moved out, I swore to myself, never again. I actually typed it into my notes app, like some kind of sacred, binding contract. I told Mom this, point blank. She just smirked and said, "We'll see." And then, of course, came the next crisis. Carla signed a lease with some new boyfriend who literally vanished before the ink was even dry. Suddenly, she couldn't cover rent, plus daycare, plus car payments. Her solution? She asked me to move in with her for a while and just pay the difference. I tried. I offered to help her with a budget, to find a cheaper place, to call the county about childcare vouchers. But she only heard one word. No. Budget to Carla sounded like diet to a foodie. She wanted results, sure, but she wasn't willing to change a single thing. Then, the ultimate move. In our family group chat, Mom posted a picture of my house. My house. She wrote, "Plenty of space. Family first." And then, the hearts started pouring in. All my relatives, reacting like they were voting on some talent show, agreeing with her. Nobody, and I mean nobody, even thought to ask me. I typed back, firmly but, I thought, gently. "No one is moving into my home. I love you both, and I will help you find resources." Mom's reply? Classic. Resources? Derek, we are your resource. And Carla, my dear sister, chimed in with, "Don't lecture me, reporter boy." Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. I'm a reporter. I write about public corruption. I'm meticulous. I keep copies. I skin documents like it's a hobby. So when Mom says you owe us, what I hear is, "We want you quiet." Then, about 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, I saw it. A $19.99 charge for some kid's game on my bank statement. Then another. Then a $79.99 super PAC. My card, mind you, was safely tucked away in my wallet. I asked Carla. She sent me a shrug emoji and a nonchalant voice note. Oh, they must have clicked something. Relax. Relax? On a card you don't even have? I pressed her. Mom had it that one time for groceries, she said, as if that explained everything. Then came the kicker. Maybe later we can just combine accounts, so it's simpler. A family plan. I froze. No. My gut screamed no. She texted back almost immediately. Wow, you're obsessed with money. The weirdness escalated. I started getting friend requests from Carla's landlord, her daycare, even a bouncer from a bar near her block. Then, a text from an unknown number. "This is Mike from Best Value Auto. Carla said you're the guarantor." "She's behind." "What?" I called Carla, my heart pounding. "Don't freak out," she said, far too casually. "They just send those." I retorted, my voice tight. "They send those to guarantors. I never signed anything." That's when my reporter brain, the one that thrives on uncovering hidden truths, truly lit up. I went straight to my closet and pulled out my file box, the one I kept for work, full of meticulous records. I flipped through old leases, utility bills, any form with my name on it. And then, in a subfolder I'd optimistically labeled emergency, I found it. A photocopy of my driver's license. I'd sent it to Mom ages ago, just to be an emergency contact at some clinic. I remembered. Someone, probably Mom, had written my social security number on a sticky note and slapped it right onto that page. Now, the sticky note was gone. Vanished. I felt a cold dread wash over me. I felt sick to my stomach. I immediately changed all my passwords. Called the bank. Put a fraud alert on my credit. And then, I called Nina, my lawyer. She handles tenant rights stories with me. But she also moonlights as that one friend who always says, "Document everything. Do not confront." Nina, calm as ever, just said, "Not yet. Let them say it first." "But it's Thanksgiving," I argued. "All the better," she replied, a hint of steel in her voice. "Everyone together. Everyone honest." 2 days before the dinner, the message from Mom hit my phone. "Your cousin Luke can take your office if it's too hard for the triplets. He starts a new job Monday and needs a place near the bus." A chorus of, "Oh, how generous of you, Derek," followed, from relatives I barely spoke to. I hadn't agreed to anything. I shot back, "No, Carla, don't be petty. It's temporary." Temporary. That's the word that made my blood run cold. Temporary is how I'd lost 2 years of savings. Mom called me immediately. "You're cold," she accused. "Family sacrifice is how we survive." My turn. "I sacrificed my entire 20s, I said, my voice shaking with a mix of anger and exhaustion. "I'm done." Silence. Then, a venomous hiss. "If you shut your door on your sister and her babies, don't call me your mother." I didn't plan to call her anything. My plan for Thanksgiving was simple. Eat some turkey, say hello to my nephews, and keep my mouth shut. Nina had texted me again. "Remember, let them talk. Don't record anything illegally. If they escalate, we follow through." Follow through with what? I texted back, my fingers flying. "You'll see," she replied. "Just keep your hands clean." Thanksgiving morning, I walked in with a pie, set up a baby monitor facing the stove, because, honestly, kids and burners are a disaster waiting to happen, and repeated my mantra. "No arguments today, Derek. No arguments." Then Carla, bold as brass, announced to the entire room that she was moving in Sunday. I said, simply, "No." That's when the plate flew. Literally, a plate, right past my head. And that's when Mom pulled out her biggest, most insidious weapon, shame. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even flinch. I just wiped a splatter of gravy off my sleeve, turned, and walked out to the porch to call Nina. She answered on the first ring. "Everything is just as you said," I told her, my voice eerily calm. "Okay," she said, her voice like a general giving orders. "Activate the plan. Number 1, boundaries. Number 2, truth. Number 3, legal. Smile. Eat dinner. Leave on time." Then, almost as an afterthought, she added, "Give it 20 minutes. You'll hear the first domino fall." And she was right. The first ding came, not from a phone, but from the living room TV. Earlier, Dad, trying to be helpful, had cast the baby monitor feed to the big screen so everyone could keep an eye on the kids while they ate. He'd forgotten to turn it off. The monitor had been recording to the cloud since morning. Public space. Obvious camera. Blinking red light. Legal. Visible. Maybe a little dumb on their part, but definitely legal on mine. The TV screen flashed a thumbnail. New clip saved. 12:41 p.m. to 1:09 p.m. And then, Carla's voice, from just an hour earlier, laughing casually from the kitchen, filled the now silent room. "Don't worry," she told Mom in that recording. "If Derek says no, we'll just move in anyway. He melts when the boys cry." A pause. Then, the real gut punch. "Worst case, we just change his locks while he's at work. Like last time." Mom's voice, calm and reassuring, followed. He'll forgive you. He always does. And then the chilling add-on. And if he gets loud, I'll tell the cousins he's having a breakdown. The room went dead silent. Aunt Teresa stared at me, eyes wide. Uncle Joe looked up at the ceiling, as if the answers to life's biggest questions were etched there. Carla lunged for the remote, a desperate look in her eyes. But Dad, whose hand was visibly shaking, got there first. He fumbled the buttons, and instead of turning it off, he just made it louder. On the recording, Carla kept going, oblivious. I already used his card once. He didn't even notice. My throat closed. I couldn't breathe. Then Mom's voice again, delete the alerts. He doesn't check. Another ding. This time, everyone's phones. Nina had just emailed me. And apparently Mom. It was a neat PDF compilation. Copies of texts I'd sent over the past year, offering childcare resources, messages where I'd politely said no. And right alongside them, replies where Mom and Carla had laughed in the group chat about Operation Guilt. Derek. I didn't even ask Nina how she got those screenshots from other relatives. People, it turns out, are a lot braver than you think when they just watch someone throw a plate at you. Carla pointed a trembling finger at me. You set us up, she shrieked. My response. Flat. I brought pie. You hit me with dinnerware. Mom, chin lifted high, tried to regain control. Enough, she declared. You're making this bigger than it is. Am I? I asked, my voice dangerously calm. Because I think adding me as a guarantor without my consent is pretty big. I think using my credit card without permission is pretty big. And I definitely think planning to change the locks on my house is pretty large. Aunt Teresa whispered, guarantor, as a gasp escaped her lips. I took a deep, steadying breath. Mike from Best Value Auto called me. I said, keeping my voice utterly flat. He had a copy of my driver's license, the one I sent Mom for that clinic form last year. It used to have a sticky note with my social security number on it. I shifted my gaze to Mom. She didn't blink. You're making me the villain, she said, her voice icy. I'm making a list, I replied, a dark satisfaction creeping in. Lists aren't villains. Carla slammed her palm on the table, rattling the silverware. We're your family. You owe us. Here are the numbers, I said, sliding my phone, screen up, across the table. In the last 12 months, that's $1,286 in emergencies for your apartment. $1,190 in food deliveries to your address, because you couldn't cook. $679 in subscriptions you somehow signed up for on my card. I paid for your daycare late fees, twice. I replaced the screen door your kids ran through. I even took them to the ER when you couldn't find an Uber. My voice softened, but the steel remained. I did all of that because I love them and I love you. But love isn't a debit card. Mom snapped, this is cruelty. On Thanksgiving. This, I countered, my eyes locked on hers, is a boundary. On any day, Carla, her face flushed and wild, grabbed her coat. We're moving in Sunday, she declared, breathless. Try and stop me. You won't get in, I said, cutting her off. You returned your key a long time ago. The locks are changed. Her eyes flicked to Mom, desperate. You have a key, right? Mom froze. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, a chilling realization washed over her face, like a shadow falling. I did, she mumbled. Check your purse, Mom, I suggested softly. She did. Inside, an empty key ring, and a small, neatly folded note in Nina's elegant handwriting. It simply read, keys are not commitments. Mom's lips thinned into a hard, angry line. You're unbelievable, she hissed. Better than unforgivable, I shot back. The triplets, sensing the tension, started to fuss. Dad, looking utterly defeated, finally stood, half-heartedly murmuring, let's settle down. No one listened. I put on my coat. I'm leaving, I announced, my voice steady. Before dessert. I don't feel safe here. Run away. Mom spat, a venomous sneer on her face. I didn't run. I walked. As I reached the hall, my phone buzzed again. Nina. Step 3. Ready. Want to proceed. I looked back through the doorway at my family. My mother's tight, furious smile. My sister's trembling, angry hands. And the small boy's, rubbing sleepy eyes, caught in the middle of it all. I took a deep breath. And I typed, yes. The next morning, 7:13 a.m. My doorbell didn't just ring. It pounded. Not a friendly tap, but an urgent, full-armed drumbeat. I checked my phone's camera feed. There they were. Mom on the porch, Carla on the sidewalk. 2 suitcases. And my 3 nephews, strapped into a triple stroller like a tiny, desperate parade. I didn't open the door. Mom pulled out her phone. 20 seconds later, mine buzzed with a call. Then another. I let them go straight to voicemail. A text from Carla. We're outside. Let us in. Then a threat. No? We'll call the cops and say you're keeping our things. My blood ran cold at the audacity. You have no things here. I texted back. Mom, predictably, went straight to the family group chat. Your brother has locked his sister and her babies in the cold. 3 angry face reactions popped up immediately. And that's when Nina, using my number, dropped a message into that same chat, a message I'd approved the night before. It was a scanned letter on official firm letterhead, addressed to Mom and Carla, time-stamped, and sent by certified mail. It stated, clearly, that 1, they are not tenants. 2, they do not have permission to reside at my address. 3, any attempt to enter would be unlawful. And 4, any further unauthorized charges will be prosecuted. Below it, screenshots of Carla's own messages about changing my locks and using my card. The chat went absolutely silent. Then, Aunt Teresa typed, Lorna, this is too far. Uncle Joe added, you can't just move into someone's house. My cousin Luke, that future office squatter, left the chat entirely. Mom banged on the door again, her face contorted with fury. I spoke through the intercom, my voice low and steady. Mom, I will help you find an emergency shelter with family rooms for the weekend. I'll find you a legal aid clinic for Monday. I will drive you there. I will buy diapers. But I will not let you move in. You're heartless, she shrieked. I have a heart, I replied. It's just not for rent. Carla started to cry. Real tears. Real fear. And for a split second, I almost opened the door. Almost. Then my phone buzzed again. A notification from my credit union. An attempted login from a new device. My eyes went from the screen to my front door. I pressed the intercom button again. Nina, I said, my voice barely a whisper, filed the fraud report. Carla stopped crying instantly. Her face went flat. That hard, tired tone I'd heard on the baby monitor crept into her voice. So it's war. It's not, I said. It's a ceasefire with rules. She turned and walked away, pushing the stroller. Mom stayed for a moment, silent now, then left too. 10 minutes later, she posted on Facebook. Some people forget who rocked them as babies. Nina's text quickly followed. Do not respond. We activated the rest of Nina's plan. First, the practical stuff. I called the daycare, paid 2 weeks ahead, anonymously, through their portal. The boys wouldn't be punished for adult choices. I sent Carla a gift card, but made sure it only worked at the grocery store and pharmacy, not for cash. I forwarded her a list of subsidized apartments and the contact for a nonprofit that helps single parents with deposits. On my end, I blocked all charges from my cards to any of her known merchants. 2-factor authentication went on everything, and I put a freeze on my credit that only my voice could lift. Then came the personal part. I wrote an email to the whole family. Not a manifesto, no cursing, no heat, just the cold, hard facts. Hi, it began. Yesterday, a plate was thrown at me for saying no. The baby monitor recorded a conversation about changing my locks and using my card. I have reported fraud. Going forward, I will not house adults. I will not be a guarantor. I will not send cash. I will pay for specific needs for the children directly: diapers, food, daycare. If you try to involve my employer, my address, or my property in any way, I will call the police. I love my nephews. I do not love being used. Sincerely, Derek. The reactions came fast. Aunt Teresa, proud of you. Cousin Maya, what do the kids need this week? Uncle Joe, I can store Carla's couch for a month. And then, of course, Mom, you've shamed your family. I didn't reply. Not a word. By noon, Nina called. 2 updates, she said. 1, your bank reversed the charges. 2, Best Value Auto admitted they were fed an unauthorized copy of your ID. They're backing off. She paused. And the landlord? He got our letter. He's very sorry he misunderstood your role, she added, heavy with sarcasm. He also forwarded me something. Thought we should know. She sent me an attachment, a PDF of a roommate agreement Carla had apparently made herself, with my name typed in as the responsible party. It even had my signature, badly forged. A straight, clumsy line, not the messy tangle I've had since middle school. Check the metadata, I said, my jaw tight. On it, she replied. But honestly, we don't even need it. That baby monitor audio about changing locks is enough for a restraining order if they try to force entry. My stomach turned. I don't want that, I said, feeling suddenly drained. I just want this to stop. That's what restraining orders are for, Derek, Nina said gently. Stopping. Over the weekend, Mom tried new angles. She called my editor at the paper, leaving a voicemail about my unstable behavior. My editor, bless him, just forwarded it to me with a one-line email. You have the afternoon off. Take care of yourself. He'd seen worse from the corrupt sources I expose. A mom with a Facebook account wasn't going to scare a newsroom. Then Carla's landlord texted me again. But this time, it was different. She's moving to a smaller unit. Manager helped with a discount. Just letting you know because you asked me last spring to tell you if she got in trouble. I had asked. Good. A small win, but a win. At night, when my house got too quiet, a familiar shadow would creep in, guilt. Soft-footed, it would whisper Mom's words. Some people forget who rocked them as babies. I'd picture my nephews, lined up like little ducklings, and a knot would tighten in my chest. I'd pace the kitchen, open the freezer, and stare at ice cubes as if answers might crystallize within them. But then, I'd check my bank app, and like a gasp of fresh air, relief would rush back into my lungs. The balance was stable. No surprise leaks. For the first time in months, nothing was slipping away without my consent. On Monday, I drove Carla to meet with the nonprofit caseworker. She didn't want to get in the car. She wanted to yell, to fight in the driveway, to make a scene. But I just stood there, letting the silence stretch between us until the triplets started fussing. Finally, she climbed in, muttering, "You think you're better than us?" "I think boundaries make me better to you," I replied, my gaze fixed on the road. She just stared out the window. "You called a lawyer on your own mother," she accused. "I called a lawyer for myself," I corrected her, calmly. "Mom can hire her own." The meeting was boring. Necessary. Paperwork always is. We sat with a tired, kind woman in a gray cardigan who had the softest voice I'd ever heard in a government building. She talked about wait lists, emergency funds, interim stability indicators, which is just a fancy phrase for, "Do you have somewhere safe to sleep tonight?" Carla gave one-word answers, sullen and defiant, until the woman asked, "Who has been your financial support?" Carla jerked her chin at me, a sneer on her face. "Him, the egoist." The caseworker didn't even blink. "He's here," she said calmly, her soft voice unwavering. "Egoists don't usually show up." On the way home, Carla said nothing. At her building, she got out without so much as a glance. Then, just as she was about to close the door, quietly, like she was throwing a tiny pebble into a vast lake to see how far the ripples would go, she asked, do they have to call you Uncle Derek, or can it just be Derek?" "Whatever they want," I said, my own voice a little rough. She nodded once. "See you," she muttered, and was gone. "See you," I said, to an empty car. That night, Mom called again. I let it go to voicemail. Later, I listened. Her voice sounded tired. "You made your point," she said. "I'm still angry, but the boys ate pasta tonight." Carla filled out forms. People dropped off a crib. A pause. "You didn't come inside and fix it like usual." And somehow it got fixed anyway. A long, drawn-out breath. Then, that old, familiar refrain. Almost automatic, a reflex she couldn't help. "Don't call me your mom if you're going to be cruel." But then, softer, almost lost under the line static, a genuine offer. "Bring the boys to the park on Saturday, if you want." I saved that voicemail. Not because I needed it as evidence. I had plenty of that. I saved it because it was the first time in a long, long time she'd offered me something that wasn't a bill. I used to think love meant yes. Now I think love means choices with edges. So what changed? And what didn't? I didn't suddenly become rich or cold. I still clip coupons. I still send Carla lists of free meal locations when she asks. I still kneel on the sidewalk, so 3 small boys can climb me like I'm their personal jungle gym. I still answer texts, but now, I answer them like a grown man who knows the exact cost of every single click. My house is still my house. The office is still my office. The spare bed? It's for friends who call ahead, not for emergencies that just explode on my porch. My front door camera is still recording, not because I'm paranoid, but because I'm done hoping people will choose to be fair when it's so much easier not to be. Mom and we talk in short, careful calls now. We stick to the weather, recipes, updates about the boys. When she starts a sentence with "you should," I simply say, "I won't," and I let the silence do its work. Sometimes she hangs up. Sometimes she laughs, that brutal, controlling laugh that used to gut me. Sometimes she actually says, "okay," like the word itself tastes brand new. Carla and we're not friends. We're siblings with a treaty. We meet at the park. I bring fruit and a cheap soccer ball. She brings the snacks she can actually afford. We don't talk about my house. We don't talk about credit. We talk about sleep schedules and shoes. The boys call me Derek now. One of them tried uncle, and it came out wunkle, and we all laughed so hard we had to sit down. My lawyer, Nina, still refuses pie when I bring it to her office. I don't negotiate for pastry, she jokes, but she always takes coffee and sends me articles to edit when my brain just won't rest. My editor gave me a week off, which I spent doing absolutely nothing glamorous. Laundry, sleeping, long walks past other people's front yards, where the grass is always a little messy, and you can tell someone's actually living a real life inside. The money part is simple now. I set up a fund that pays directly to daycare when needed. I even wrote the cap, in thick black marker, on an index card and taped it inside my cabinet, right next to the grocery list. Daycare cap, $X/month. When it hits, it hits. And every time that little whisper of guilt starts, I just read the card. The cap holds. Family still tries little tests, of course. At Christmas, Mom casually said, "Your cousin needs a place to crash for a week." I said, "No." She waited. I didn't feel the silence. She sighed. "Fine." The world didn't end. And the triplets still shrieked with joy at wrapping paper. You know, people think the big, dramatic moment was the plate flying across the room. It wasn't. For me, the real turning point was not opening that door the next morning. It was watching Carla, after all that, still climb into my car for the caseworker meeting, because her boys genuinely needed her to. It was feeling absolutely awful inside, but not fixing it with my wallet, not rushing to rescue. It was finally letting their discomfort teach them something that years and years of my help never did. There's a little moral in there, you know? It's not fancy. It's not something you print in a pretty frame and hang near your keys. It's simply this: I will help the children eat and sleep. I will not be the bank for adults. I will not be manipulated by the words family or love. I will not explain a boundary more than once. I will leave the room when the plate flies. I will call my lawyer when my name is used without my consent. I will choose peace over access. I used to walk into my mother's house with my shoulders tight, rehearsing every single sentence. Now, when I see my nephews, I kneel first. I let them barrel into me, knocking me over. I feel the glorious, messy weight of 3 small bodies and I think, this is what I can carry. Then, I stand up, hug them tight, and go home to my quiet 2-bedroom house, the house I worked for. I lock my door, not against love, but for it. And when my phone buzzes with a message that starts, "You owe us," I just smile a little, breathe deep, and type the same 2 words every single time. No thanks. That's not vengeance. That's just peace. What about you? Have you ever had to draw a hard line with family, even when it felt impossible? Or maybe you're still struggling with that family-first mentality. I'd really love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let me know what you think.